Welcome to the IDP rankings for the Week 16 show, hosted on IDP Plus on the IDP Guys Network. I'm Steve Hungarter, as you guys know. I'm a writer over at the Fantasy Six Pack. I'm also a writer on this network, as well as a ranker for Fantasy Pros. But forget about me. My guest tonight is the one with the resume that you want to hear. As I've been alluding to all week, we have a special guest for you guys at home. Tonight, we are going to talk to former NFL great Steve Wright. Steve has played offensive lineman for three great NFL franchises: the Dallas Cowboys, the then Baltimore Colts, which moved to Indianapolis, and the LA Raiders. Not only that, but he also had 1 year in the USFL with the Oakland Invaders. Steve's post-playing career was as a successful businessman and also a contestant on one of my favorite shows, Survivor Season 22. In fact, he had 31 days that he stayed out there. He outlasted on the show Survivor, 31 days. He's going to put together all his experiences in his new book, Aggressively Human. How you doing, Steve?
Outstanding, Steven. Thanks for having me. Great to be on here on IDP.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. Now, Steve, you may not know this. I was checking out your book the other day on Amazon, which is available now. Did you know you're the number one? It's the number one new. Oh, look at Jamie down there with the autograph copy. I'm jealous.
Oh,
but Steve, did you know you're the number one new publishing?
I did not until my publisher sent me an email and my jaw dropped. Yeah, just super fortunate. It's the first and only book I'm writing. It was a lot of fun writing it, dumping it all out. A lot of great lessons in there. It's not really a you should book or anything or telling anybody how to do it. It's just how I lived my life and charged and treated people with respect, and it seemed to resonate with the Amazon world and everybody else. It's the sales are going great, a lot better than I thought they would be.
Now we're here to discuss Steve's new book, but we're also going to share experiences and we're going to discuss IDP rankings. Steve, question for you. What do you hope that our audience gains through the experiences that you have gained in your book?
One of the really big ones is treating people with respect. All people. Doesn't make a difference who you are. Treat people with respect. And I've got a lot of stories in the book from treating people nice. The doors swung open. It's how I landed the Summer Olympics in Atlanta with my business, or treating this little kid down at Fox Studio, treating this kid nice, and his mom was watching. Well, it turned out she's the head casting director for Amazing Race and Survivor. And she said, "You are so cool, blah, blah, blah. Why don't you come try out?" And so wow. I landed in Nicaragua. There's a lot of stories in there. And one of my other big things that I'd love people to take away is go for it, whatever it is. If a door opens up for you, opportunity opens up, don't let this get in the way. If it feels good in your gut and your heart, like I gotta go. You know, I invited on different things. NFL cruise. Well, it turned out three guys bailed out, and I was the only one. Had the time of my life. Met a ton of connections. Whatever it is, just go for it. If the door opens up, figure it out on the way. I didn't know what I was doing when I started my business, but it just exploded, and it was just hanging on. But that would have never happened if I hadn't at least taken the opportunity to try something.
For my younger audience that may not recognize Steve, or maybe didn't get the opportunity to see his playing career, a great introduction to Steve would be YouTube. There's a YouTube video out there of Tony Dorsett's 99-yard touchdown run. It was an NFL record. Derrick Henry, he broke it in 2018, but that thing stood forever. It was 99.5 yards, actually. So check that out on YouTube. Also, for my audience that's on Spotify that's tuning in, all I'm doing is I'm showing slides of Steve's career. We're going over memories, but feel free to go to YouTube and look at that record-breaking run. Steve, was that your first play ever in the NFL?
No, I was playing right guard there. No, that was late in the season. It was the first Monday night game at the Metrodome in Minneapolis.
Oh my goodness!
Right behind me, outside the end zone there, my parents and 30 of my family and neighbors and everybody else are sitting there on the third row up right behind us. So they had a beautiful view of it. That's late in the season. I was the Cowboys were pretty dominant. I think we finished the season 12-4, so I got thrown in a lot of games in the fourth quarter. My real introduction was against Jack Youngblood, where I got 2 holding calls in 1 quarter of play. But throw the young boy in and let him fend for himself. I played quite a bit leading up to this, and I think maybe that's where the line coach had the faith in me. I was on the punt return at the kickoff return team there. We fumbled the ball. I was coming off the field, and my line coach met me halfway onto the field and get back out there and take right guard. The right guard lost his shoe on the kickoff return play.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so I'm so nervous, and thank God it was a timeout. I ran on there and I got in the huddle with everybody. And if you got time for a quick story, it's pretty remarkable. So I run out there and I'm getting in the huddle. And I'm looking around, and I got Tony Dorsett and Drew Pearson. And 4 years earlier, I'm in 10th grade at the old Met where this thing was, and sitting outside in the freezing cold when Drew Pearson caught the Hail Mary to beat the Vikings to go to the Super Bowl. And I'm at the game, and I'm thinking, wow, is that Drew Pearson a cool dude? 4 years later, I'm in the huddle with him on Monday Night Football. I goosebumps right now just thinking about it.
Jamie was telling me offline, because he has your book and he likes to brag and show me that he has your book. But Jamie was telling me that you're from Minnesota. How ironic is that? You're playing the Vikings. You got your family in back of you, cutting loose. You made the block that actually made the play. I mean, how amazing is that? You know, if the story ended there, that's a story for the rest of your life. And you got plenty more to tell after that.
That's the greatest moment pretty much of my NFL career. Just being a part of that in Minnesota with my parents 20 feet behind me, maybe 30 feet behind me. I'm in the huddle and I'm kind of doing this so the cameras can't see.
Right.
I'm in the huddle, and it's just all my buddies I grew up with. It was
So I'm going to take the audience to my defensive lineman rankings for week 16. Real simple. This time of year, they're kind of the same as they've been. Of course, the matchups kind of change a little bit, but here's our usual suspects. Number 1, I have TJ Watt playing the Bengals. Number 2, I got Micah Parsons playing the Dolphins. Number 3, I got Myles Garrett playing the Texans. Number 4, I got Max Crosby playing the Chiefs. That's all tier 1. Bumped down a little bit, but not a whole lot. I got Daniel Hunter, number 5, playing the Lions. Number 6, I got Nick Bosa playing the Ravens. Number 7, I got Hassan Reddick playing the Giants. Number 8, I got DeForest Buckner playing the Falcons. Number 9, I got Josh Allen playing the Bucks. When I get to tier 3, all these names are still household names and pretty darn good. Number 10, I got Montez Sweat, matchup against the Cardinals. Number 11, I got Jonathan Greener, matchup against the Browns. Number 12, I got Justin Matabuke, matchup against the 49ers. Number 13, I got Bradley Chubb against the Cowboys. 14, we got Khalil Mack playing the Bills. Carl Granderson rounds out my top 15 defensive linemen. He's got a match against the Rams. And then I guess my bubble, Jamie, would be Sam Hubbard, number 16. Aaron Donald, 17. Brian Birds, 18. 19, Aiden Hutchinson. 20, Trey Hendrickson. Any rebuttals on that, Jamie?
No, you got Hubbard, Hutchinson. No, the only thing I can say, man, is I think you got Myles Garrett too low at 3.
That's because you're a Browns fan.
That and and Greener, it's too high for you playing the Browns.
And it's early in the week. That's what's so frustrating, Steve, about these rankings. Like, I do them on a Tuesday or Wednesday. By the time the games come around, they're already moved around. Guys have injuries. It's really crazy, but it's fun worth doing.
I bet.
Question for you, though. I know these are different kind of athletes. They're probably smaller and a little quicker in your day. You had guys coming at you, and you were blocking for guys the size of, in the shape of a piano that could hit like a Mack truck. Just going back to your career, 83, 94, you had guys like Reggie White out there, Bruce Smith, Kevin Green, Neil Smith, Brian Bosworth, Lyle Izato's second tour. Even the co-Super Bowl MVP, Randy White. We love that name around here, Steve.
Lawrence Taylor. Yes.
Yeah, well, there you go. Get Lawrence Taylor too. So my question to you was, who was the toughest guy for you to block, or maybe you scrimmaged against, or do you have another name that's not on my list?
Well, I practiced every day against Howie Long. And so, yeah, he brought it every day. There was no messing around. On defensive day on Thursday, I had to give him a good look. And you give him a good look, you bang the first couple of steps hard, you get your head and your hands in the right position, you let off. And if you don't, you get a look. And then the second time, you get a couple of words. And then our center, Bill Lewis, he was the 5th round draft pick from Nebraska, big boy. He told Howie to F off, and before you knew it, Howie walked back to him, hit him underneath with a Mike Tyson uppercut, blew his helmet off, and he was out cold, kicked him in the face, and it was just like, holy crap. So Howie, it was a long day at the office every day. But I think that one of the bigger battles was always Bruce Smith. I played Reggie White once, and he was just a monster with his hump move. Get you leaning one way and then just bring this club from hell and blow you off your feet and throw you like a little kid. But Bruce Smith was a big nemesis, and then playing in Kansas City so many times, Neil Smith and I did not like each other. So it was a war, and it was we always get our ass kicked every time we went to Kansas City. But it was just, you don't worry about everybody else. It's just you and the guy across from you, which was Neil or Derek Thomas, back when he was, still cooking.
I forgot about Derek Thomas.
Yeah, fast.
Everyone, I bet most of our audience knows Howie Long, the announcer, the mild-mannered guy. No, he was a beast back in his day. Those Raiders teams are ferocious.
Yeah.
Going off that Howie Long uppercut, the one thing I learned from your book is like to separate work and play. And you mentioned that the very next day you see them, they were just talking, having a good time. Yeah. So like you separate what's on the field, off the field, and you guys are still good friends.
You have to. If you're going to be a successful team, or even if you're going to be a team, two guys, they can go ahead and fight on the field, but you cannot carry it into the locker room and distract everything. If that happens, I've seen it. One will disappear. And so Howie got in a lot of trouble from Al called him up, and so the rest of the season and beyond, you'd see Howie just dying to strangle somebody in practice, and he'd just have to back off, and it was killing him.
I have a question for you, Steve. Yes. Going back to your rookie year with the Cowboys, and I was thinking about you. Hopefully this isn't out of line, but my question.
Nothing is. Yep.
Excellent. From 83 to 84, I'm not 83 to 84. So you played for the Cowboys your rookie year. You were undrafted, 81, 82 rather, right?
Right.
The team you went into, it had Tom Landry as your coach, Mike Ditka as the assistant coach, tight ends coach.
Yeah.
You had players like Ed Too Tall Jones, and I was saying earlier, people in the IDP community, we love Randy White, co Super Bowl MVP.
Randy White.
Don't see that too much anymore. Yeah, Randy White.
Yeah.
Going into that team as an undrafted free agent, I was thinking about you with this. Walk me through those memories, or maybe the stress of trying to make the team America's team. And all the obstacles you probably went through.
That's killer, Steve. Just that question and the passion you're asking. It actually, I just got overwhelmed with goosebumps. Serious. So it still lives in me. But I was one of 120 free agents that tried out that year. I don't know what they've cut it down to now, but back then they could bring in 120 free agents, and 3 of us made it. I had 5 other roommates, and over the course of the next probably month, in training camp, they all disappeared. And what was pretty interesting, I didn't really realize that I really live in the present. We would lay around in the room at night, with the lights off and everybody's just talking. And these guys were worried about the upcoming scrimmage we've got against the 49ers or somebody else. And they're always worried about something far down the line. I, as a free agent, because that same year, the number 1 and the number 3 draft pick were both offensive linemen. So for sure, I wasn't going to be on the team, but I was going to fight like a dog. My thinking was, if I get cut, if I can hang here long enough, I'll end up on another team. But I didn't think that, they're going to already have their teams formed. So it got down to nut cutting time. And fought like hell and made the team. But yeah, but back to staying in the present is all I was worried about was tomorrow morning's practice, not even afternoon practice. I know we have a lot of run blocking hit going on the next morning. That's all I thought about. I wasn't thinking about way ahead or problems I had a couple days ago. It was staying present, and it really paid off, because I pretty was sure that I wasn't going to make it to the San Francisco scrimmage on Saturday. Every day they were cutting guys, and then pretty soon, man, I'm there, and it got down to myself and a couple others, and yeah, it was it was the hardest thing I've ever done. And
you were a survivor before you were ever even on that show.
Yeah, big time, Steve.
And you know what? This was a great team too that you went on. They were one win away from the Super Bowl, if memory serves. That's the Joe Montana catch to Dwight Clark team. Like you guys were right there. Here you are making it as undrafted rookie. That's unheard of.
Yeah, I was grabbing my buddy. We were 40 seconds away from going to the Super Bowl, and Montana rolled out right in front of our bench and threw this ball that we all knew was way too high. And we started just jumping up and down, and these hands came out of nowhere and caught it right over my other free agent, Everson Walls.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. Wow. Hey, so Tom Landry, so let's see, this was, early 80s. Kind of an odd coach, suit and tie with the hat and everything. Snappy dresser. Did he implement any of that in the locker room, dress codes, anything like that?
Yeah, big time. Another great question, man. Yeah, you always wore a suit and tie. And it's no joke, but if it was, you're in bed at, you're in your room at 10 o'clock. If it was 11 o'clock or something like that, and you had to run down the hall to get a bucket of ice, if you were staying up and having a drink or something like that, you had to put your coat and tie on.
Oh,
you could not be out in public without your coat and tie. Always on the plane. It was always respectful. The way you dressed, the way you acted, the way you treated hotel people. Yeah, they were on it. Yeah, it's Jamie, just working on the character.
I would love to see that in modern day NFL. Don't
get
me started on
that. Yeah, sweats and everything else, and
like y'all are military. Oh my goodness. So after that, you went to the then Baltimore Colts, the 1983-84. You went to the Colts, which two things I kind of want to highlight here. Jamie, there's a great 30 for 30 film I was watching a while ago called The Band That Never Died. It just kept playing. When that team left from Baltimore to the Colts, what were some of the experiences that you could remember?
It was to me, it was just the smartest, greatest move ever that the Ursays did by just pulling out of there at night. We would have, in their old, I can't remember the name of the stadium, but it would be maybe 30% filled, and they're booing us and everything else. So, they didn't care for us. But just bolting out of there. And then, so he goes from no crowd to getting into Indianapolis and paying $1 rent, I think, for the next 10 years. It created the opportunity to just pile in the money and, bring in guys like, Peyton Manning and so forth and win a Super Bowl. It was I was playing for Frank Cush, which sucked big time. He was the worst human.
Oh, really?
He just didn't know how to deal with men. He would, bark at boys, but none of the coaches liked him either. I said, I kind of whispered to some of the coaches out of practice, like, God, I'd like to kick his ass. And they said, if you do, we will turn around and look the other way. So he made it miserable. He had a thing. He was a long distance runner. And so he would make us run on Mondays after the Sunday game. Even if you had a knee tweaked or some other injury, you had to go on this 3-mile course, 1.5 miles back into the woods, where he would have the coaches were lined up along the way and one at the 1.5 mile spot just to check your name off that you made it all that way. And so, guys would be on crutches and they would crutch the 3 miles and back. It's just dumbass stuff.
Yeah,
you actually had a interaction with Frank Cush years later. Would you be interested in telling us a little bit about that?
I'm not real proud of that. Yeah, it was just it was in the USFL, and one of the big reasons I signed with the USFL was, one, for a lot bigger package, but also two, to get away from Frank Cush. And then when I left, he left as well and coached the Arizona Wranglers, I think. Yeah, and I was passing him on the field one day and at a game, and I just loogie on his chest. I wasn't real proud of it. I kind of walked in. I went, why did I do that? You know, it was just, I was intense. The game was just getting ready for kickoff, and he never saw it coming and didn't see it until probably someone told him that, hey, you're drooling on yourself. No, that was Steve Wright.
Oh my goodness. The other thing I wanted to talk about with your time in Baltimore as well, you played guard a lot over there as well. You played, what, 10 games at guard, if I'm not mistaken?
To be honest with you, I don't know, but yeah, I mean, I played a little left tackle, played guard. Yeah, with the Raiders, I snapped the ball a few times. I had never done that. When Don Mosbar would go down or have something wrong, they might.
We actually got a question from the mailbag, and what I wanted to do is I wanted to kind of compare, you know, what it's like to be a guard to tackle ratio. But Jamie, I don't know if you remember this one. We had a comment a while ago. They were asking us about different techniques for individual players. Yep. And we kind of ran through this. I don't know if you remember this video. Who's that young guy down there in the corner, week 6?
Oh, yeah.
See how the season ages us so much? So if I may, I'm going to go over the techs, and then maybe we can switch back to the offensive guys. First thing, I guess, when can you see my screen?
I can.
Yep.
Okay. You know, right over the center, if you see a defensive player right over them, he's playing the zero technique. You don't see that too much in the NFL nowadays, but generally that's the face-to-face on the center, the gap filler. I guess Ed Oliver would be a great example of this. Gets a lot of double teams. In between that, I guess on the side, if we were to shade that would be the one technique. And, you know, all of those are odd ends. 1, 3, the 5 technique, all the odds. And then the guys that are playing on the guard to tackle, that would be 2s and 4s. So we got 0, 2s, 4s, 1s, 3s, and 5s. But anything that's a 1 technique, a 3 technique, a 5 technique, any one of those guys, they're on the outside shoulder, the offensive lineman, versus the 2s and the 4s, they'd be on the inside shoulder. Jamie, the 1 technique, guys like Christian Wilkins come to mind. Guys like Grover Stewart come to mind. 2 techniques. The Forrest Buckner, classic 4-3, 2 technique. Moving on to the 3 technique, which I kind of have circled right here. Classic Aaron Donald. Hargrove of the 49ers. Guys like that, those are guys that are just, you know, rushing the tackle, the prominent. That's the position you want in IDP, because a lot of running plays go that direction. So usually you'll see a lot of stuff defenders, especially in tackle savvy formats, which is what we kind of score on this site, Steve, is tackle heavy. A lot of those 1, 3, and 5 techniques get a lot of tackle points for us. Outside shoulder of the center, a lot of that runs off the guy who benefits, you know, run stuffers. But, you know, that's your 0 technique. That's your 2 technique. That's your 4 technique. And that's your 1, 3, 5s in between there. I just want to graze this 4 technique real quick. Those are usually your, you know, 3, 4 defensive ends too. Line up on the outside shoulder. I would think of a Zach Allen type or Draymond Jones. Jamie, we have not talked this before, and I wanted to get this in this podcast. Do you know there's 5 techniques and there's 7 techniques as well?
I did not know that. No.
Yeah, we didn't bring this up because we never really transitioned to linebacker last time. But 5 techniques are those hands in the dirt kind of players, the 4-3 defensive ends, the Nick Bosas, the Aiden Hutchinsons. When you talk about 6 techniques, these are the guys, and this is the modern day NFL for you, Steve. These are the edge rushers. These are the linebacker guys on the end, the J.J. Watts of the world. Those are the guys that are scooping up tackles. When you look at my rankings, a 6 and a 7 technique is whether or not there's a tight end on the side or not. But when you look at my rankings for linebacker, it's a little tricky because there's a bunch of guys in there that are playing edge. They're not necessarily they're not necessarily linebackers or defensive ends.
Yeah.
So, sorry.
No,
let's hit it. Let's hit it real quick. For my linebacker rankings, I got number 1, Roquan Smith, playing 49ers. Number 2, I got Fose Locon playing the Bucks. Number 3, I got Bobby Wagner playing the Titans. Bump it down just a little bit. Zaire Franklin's got competition with EJ Speed now, so I got him at 4. He's playing the Falcons. Number 5, I got TJ Edwards playing the Cardinals. Number 6, I got Ernest Jones playing the Saints. Number 7, I got Fred Warner playing the Ravens. Number 8, I got Devin Lloyd playing the Bucks. Tier 3 rounds it out. All of these players are just as good, startable, Tier 1. But my Tier 3 here, Alex Singleton, I got to rank him somehow playing the Patriots. Bobby O at 10 playing the Eagles. Number 11, good luck saying this name, Azeez Al-Sharir. I think I did it right. Seahawks. Number 12, Levante David playing the Jaguars. Number 13, my man here, Minnesota, Ivan Pace Jr. playing the Lions. Number 14, CJ Mosley. He's trending down, playing the Commanders. Number 15, I got Queen. So those are my top 15 on my bubble. I got Logan Wilson, Terrell Bernard, Nick Bolton at 18, TJ Watt himself at 19, Cody Barton at 20. Jamie, any rebuttals, any alibis on that ranking?
No, I could just see TJ Watt maybe being a little bit higher. But that's pretty much it.
It's so hard with the edges. It's so like predictable, unpredictable with those guys, whether or not they're going to get pressure or not. So, but yeah, those are my rankings. Steve, question for you though. You've played a lot of time at, I guess it's a two-part question. You played a lot of time at tackle. What are the differences preparing or even playing from tackle to guard? And I guess the follow-up question would be, what are the differences between left guard and right guard? I guess compare and contrast, how are they compatible?
Yeah, I don't think that there's a whole lot of difference between left guard and right guard. Yeah, you're just down in the mix there and shoulder to shoulder and, looking for stunts and you're banging shoulders, passing off, Donald here as the other guy's coming around on a stunt. But out of the tackle is just a whole different ball game. That guy is so wide in this photo on 68. And if you got a crowd noise, you got to have your eyes looking in at the ball because that's what everybody's looking at. As soon as you see the center squeeze the ball or give some indication the ball's coming, man, your eyes are snapping back, and you're pretty much weighing more than the guy coming at you. You're running backwards, and he's got a full head of steam coming at you. I
can't imagine.
You're on an island by yourself. It's rough. You got to have perfect body position, your feet apart, knees bent, arms out. It's a whole different animal from tackle to guard.
I imagine.
Yeah.
Moving on with your career a little bit, let's talk those 87-93 LA Raiders. You played with guys like Bo Jackson, Marcus Allen, Howie Long. Yeah. And I want to say it was Lyle Izato's second stint in the NFL, right?
Right. He was trying out in 87 when I got on the team. And since he had been out of football for half a dozen years, he had to go in with the rookies. And by the time the veterans got there, he was gone. So I did not even see him there.
Yeah, you were there 7 years. And Bob Golick was there too. Jamie, I don't know if you know who Bob Golick is.
Yeah,
Mike, that's Mike Golick's brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, successful TV career as well. But Steve, I would love to be a fly in the wall in those team meetings. I bet you have some amazing stories in 7 years just being with the Raiders and the reputation they had.
Yeah, being a fly in the locker room too. It was just Golick and I and Howie and a couple of other offensive linemen. Yeah, we just sat in the corner. We would have our lunch and they're listening to music and that's what you miss. You miss the camaraderie of just hanging out with the boys, not on the field, but in the locker room. A lot of shenanigans going on in there and, just good bonding. Once you get on the field, once you cross the line to get on the field, it's total business. There's no jacking around. You go out there and it's every play is hard. And back then, we're banging 2.5 hours every Wednesday and Thursday.
Man, I couldn't imagine it. And then I found this photo. For the guys on Spotify, I'm just going through Steve's career. I'm showing pictures. I'm showing videos. Look at this. Look at these guys jacked up. Jamie, they were men back then.
I like that picture. That's a good one.
Oh my goodness. Look at that. Like I was trying to figure out who you're blocking there.
I don't know, but I was giving him a facial.
Well, that was
I didn't get called for it, but man, look at that. I love that picture. Yeah, straight back. You got your knees bent, your legs spread apart, your hands
Jamie,
up
I sent
high.
that to your Facebook if you want to look in your messages. But yeah,
that's a good one. Steve Wisniewski there. This guy got around him. I posted this and he got right back to me. What in the world did you post this for? He's a stud, and that very rarely happened to Steve.
Hey, you were probably what, 300 pounds in that picture?
Yeah, 290.
Yeah.
Well, look at this picture I got of Steve right here, Jamie. Look at this one. Look at all that hair. Where'd all that hair go, huh? These memories.
Yeah, high school and college, man. I had a big fro. I used to keep my pick in it. This was the 70s. You know,
what was your playing weight?
There was 260.
Yeah, I think you listed at 257, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, and back then the line was smaller. You were fined if you were over 275. Herb Scott, one of our guards, had problems keeping his weight down. He'd hit 278, maybe 280. He'd get fined. So this is 1981, and then in 1983, the Washington Redskins came out with the Hogs. And so they had, the first 300 pounders. So everybody kind of started following that line. So from then on, man, I just started trying to pack it on.
That's a good point you brought up. Once upon a time, there wasn't 300-pound linemen. And if they did, they were very rare, or they were fat and out of shape, told to do laps, right? Jimmy Johnson, I want to say, brought that to the NFL, I think, the 300-pound lineman craze.
Well, I think it was before he got to the NFL. He was still down, I think, with Miami. This was, I can see his face with the glasses. I just can't think of the coach's name. But the Redskins were
Joe
the
Gibbs.
Hogs. Gibbs.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. You're right. Joe Gibbs. Yeah. I remember Jimmy doing it with all the players that he brought in. But yeah, you're right. The Hogs were the first. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, you didn't see that too often. Or same thing with nose tackles. You didn't see these big.
We were smaller, and like for Tony Dorsett, we didn't have to blow anybody off the wall. All you had to do is position. Just get your head on the right side and try to wall him off, and he was gone. There was no heavy pushing somebody. It was just position and occupy them.
I'm sure we can do a whole video on the pros and cons of just how the NFL has just gradually changed, But yeah, that's amazing. These memories. I'm going to move on to
real quick. You were about 257, 260. That's around a tight end size right there. Did you ever consider playing a tight end? And have you ever played tight end?
I was a tight end most of my time in college, and it's a funny story. So I go down to Dallas as a free agent, and just one of the lower guys signed me, and so we didn't have any conversation. I signed my contract. I show up in Dallas, and we go out to training camp. And the first meeting, Tom Landry's got 150 of us in a room. And then we split up and go to our position coach. And I didn't know. So I just walked off with Mike Ditka, which I really liked and thought it was cool. And followed Billy Joe Dupree and Jay Saldy and Doug Cosby. And I'm sitting in the room there because I was thinking I was going to be a tight end with the Cowboys. And then the door swung open and my offensive line coach, Jim Myers, comes in. And he's got his nose bent over the side and screaming at me, "Right, goddammit, what are you doing in here? You're a lineman." And so I went from my hopeful tight end to lineman for the rest of my career. But when I was with the Raiders, I was always a tight end on short yards and goal line. I caught 3 passes. I think it was in Philadelphia. So I was used a lot as a tight end, but never throwing to me. I did catch a touchdown in the USFL as a tight end. That was a position I really wanted to play, but I was quite content playing anywhere. Just an opportunity to play as a free agent.
Yeah, because you were one of the faster guys. You ran like a 4.85 40.
Yeah.
Then I
had really good. Yeah, I had really good condition. Now, one of the drills was running 10 40-yard dashes with very minimal break, and I excelled at the accumulative number what that came to. Yeah, so I was in smoking shape.
So I'm going to move on to our final category, which is defensive backs. Full disclosure, these guys are all like dart throws. I mean, literally, every week I rank these guys, Steve. So basically, Fantasy Pros has me as the number 4 defensive lineman ranker, the number 2 linebacker ranker, the number 12 defensive back ranker. Which, again, I don't know how to really just throw them in there and sprinkle them. You'll see my tier 1 are kind of like any one of these top 12 can be a top tier 1 guy any given week. Let me just show you the rankings. I'll share them with you guys. Number 1 is Antoine Winfield. Number 2 is Derwin James. Number 3 is Jesse Bates. Number 4 is Jaquan Brisker. Number 5 is Cameron Bynum. Number 6 is Cameron Curl. And I justify that because they play in that sweet spot role and they get a lot of tackles. Number 7 is Xavier McKinney. Number 8 is Reed Blankenship. Number 9 is Kevin Byard. Number 10 is Josh Metellus. Number 11 is Buda Baker. Number 12 is Kyle Hamilton. Number 13 is Dax Hill. 14 is Jalen Thompson. 15 is Julian Blackman. And, of course, you always have Kyle Duggar, Nate Hobbs, Jordan Battle, Jalen Petrie, all on my bubble. But any one of those guys could explode at any given time. It's so hard, Steve. It's actually frustrating to me trying to get defensive backs right because they're literally they're the last line of defense. They're the survivors on the battlefield. They're the last guys on the field to actually go and catch a tackle, to go and get guys. So they're survivors back there in the secondary. They're on an island by themselves, which leads me to a couple questions about you, Steve. You were a survivor. You were on an island. You were on Survivor Season 22. See what I did there? I transitioned.
That was smooth, man.
I tried. I was thinking in my head as we were talking. But look at these pictures. For the audience on Spotify, I'm pulling up some of Steve's highlights, Survivor Season 22. And he made it. He made it far in the game. You were one of the last men standing in your tribe. And it was an all-star season. For anybody who's not aware of Survivor, it's a show. It's a show that, actually, I'll let Steve tell it. Go ahead, Steve. What is your fondest memory of Survivor?
Just in this picture, the picture on the left there with all my muscles, that's how I started the game. The picture on the far right, man, you see my clavicles. All I'm thinking about is food. Yeah, it was miserable. Pardon me, but tell me your question. What is your question?
Oh, I just wanted to know, as far as being on that show, what was your fondest memories? And did your NFL career help you in the game at all? What was your game plan? How did you survive as long as you did? Did any of your personal background help you through the game?
Yeah, 31 days is a long time to do anything. Yeah, I think, just being a team player and letting these guys know. That girl next to me, I can't think of her name, but, just my crew, just being friendly to them, going with gut instinct of if anybody's got their eye on you to cut you out. It was the fond memories. There really wasn't a lot of fond memories because you're constantly starving. It's we hit the island in a helicopter and the game started. And as we were putting together our hut for where we were going to be, our sleeping, bed, just really realized that, man, there's nothing else to eat for the rest of the night or tomorrow or the rest of the week or the following week. It's a slap of reality. It's brutal. It's 100% real. They called me a couple of years after I got through and asked if I wanted to come back, and not a chance. Because when I got back, my front tooth was bothering me before I went and saw my parents, flew over to see them. So I went to the dentist and he took an x-ray and just said, wow, he's never seen so much bacteria. We're going to pull that front tooth right now. And I went, wait a minute, that's my front tooth. You're not going to pull that. And so I show up at my parents' house weighing 33 pounds lighter and missing a front tooth. And they're just going, man, what are you getting into over there in Los Angeles?
Yeah, season 22. I remember it well. I was very fond of it. I watched these episodes with my daughter. I was asking Steve offline before we started airing, like the stuff we see on TV, because Steve was on like the minority tribe, but he had all the rice, and they didn't have anything, but they're the majority, getting ready to kick people out. I'm like, is this stuff made up, Steve, or is this improv?
No, it's 100% real. Everybody asked me that. And
Wow.
what's really funny is I had a long, nice 11-year NFL career. Nobody recognized me from that. I'll have people say, "Hey, weren't you on Survivor in the grocery store?" It's like, oh my God. Yeah, it's such a big show. Yeah, it's I forgot where I was going with that thought, but yeah, it was just it was great. I'm glad I did it. That was one of those things I talked about at the beginning. I got an offer to be on the show. I'd never seen it. I thought, shit, I'm never gonna. I would have killed me if I would have said no. Let me think about it and drive home. Just then I can't get back a hold of the casting director, and so I just said, yeah. Had no idea what I was doing. I'd never seen the show.
Do you go to the I guess at the end they do like the ceremonies, right? The reunion shows. Do you ever go to any of those?
I don't. You have to be invited to those.
Oh.
They're in mine was in New York. Yeah, and that's where Philip and I had a disagreement, and Philip stood up there and he apologized for going racial on me, which it was awesome, and we did a little half hug and handshake and on with our lives.
There you go. Yeah. You run TV. I think I've seen you on TV a couple of times this year with the Raiders, right? You get to go to those reunion shows.
I do.
Right?
Yeah. The Raiders are like no other team that I know of. We get a flight, hotel, food, entertainment. They take us to the game, killer seats. We're all together. We're all eating together, and packed up at the end of the stadium there. And I think they call it the black hole. Yeah, the Raiders have been remarkable. Every single year since I retired, get a call from them, and are you coming this year? And I'm back there with 200-300 other guys. They're a spectacular organization. Once a Raider, always a Raider.
That's amazing. And I was wondering, Jamie, do you have any thoughts on his Survivor? Any questions in here?
Well, I know you're more of an intelligent football player. You didn't just use your muscles; you used your brain. Was there any like kind of sneaky things you had to do to survive in a show?
In Survivor?
Yeah, in a Survivor show. Yeah, I'm assuming you were a lot smarter than.
Well, yeah, like it's little silly things like Russell Gantz or whatever his name was.
Russell, yeah.
The little turd that we voted off. Yeah, he was not right. But yeah, so I just came up with a babysitter system that whenever a bunch of us would head to the water to sit in the water to cool off and kill time during the day or go somewhere, we put it on him. We put a babysitter on him.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So Jamie, I don't know if you watch Survivor, but there's a killer move early on when Steve's tribe decides to vote out Russell because they don't want to deal with his nonsense. And if anybody doesn't watch Survivor, I highly advise you to check these episodes out. What they did was Steve made a trick when he went to the first when he went to Redemption Island. He lied to Russell and told him that the girl was there and it was actually the guy. So when he went there, he was totally off guard. I thought that was a genius move, Steve.
You just got to do something and just, you just kind of wing it and make something up and make them question and startle them. And yeah, it's a mind game as much as anything else. Mind and just your emotions. You're drained. You're, drinking crummy water. You're dying for something to eat. Yeah, it's a brutal game, and I think that's why it's been around for 45 seasons. It's real. It's an awesome game. I'm so fortunate to have been a part of it.
We got a couple minutes here. We're actually a little bit ahead of schedule. We talked about all the adventures that you've been on in your life, Steve, from football to TV shows. But tell us about your successful business too. I understand you're an inventor.
Well, kind of one of my prizes was the sideline misting system. The misting fans you see cooling the NFL sidelines. I brought that to the NFL in 1990 or 89. Talked to Art Shell. I saw the system blowing over in Palm Springs at all cooling all the patrons off, and put together a system on the sidelines, and it turned into just a huge home run. It was early August. Preseason game, there wasn't a breath of air stirring, and it just kind of launched. And then one of the ball boys gave me a business card, said some guys from Hollywood Park are sitting right behind here and they want to talk to you before you leave the field. So I actually had my first business meeting in my full uniform after a game. Went over there and installed a bunch of systems in the off season, and then one thing kind of led to another. Is just cooling the 96 Summer Olympics, had misting fans on the aircraft carrier in the Persian Gulf. Where else? So then that was our high pressure system. And then we made a low pressure system that we sold at over 1,500 Home Depots and Lowe's and Costco's and Targets. And you just screw it into your faucet outside and tap it up along your patio, keep a little mist going. And so that was kind of my pride and joy. I kept that and I sold it to my partner in around 2000. I just invented I got a patent on a toilet. My wife and I were traveling around the world, and we were in Indonesia. And in Indonesia, they squat to do their thing and just use a hole in the ground. It's kind of funky, but it's a function that we all have to do.
Your wife writes books as well.
She does, yeah. She wrote it with me. Her next book, she's right in the middle of it right now, is writing Todd Marinovich's story with him, his memoir in his words. Everybody goes right to oh my God, he's such a mess. Well, why is he a mess? And
I forgot
how did he become that? How did it was more than anything, it's got me really empathetic and compassionate to his addiction. His addiction was so strong, and I just have never really looked at, I've looked at people that, whatever, an alcoholic or somebody that's, had a lot of drug use, and you go, man, you stupid idiot. Well, no, it's not their fault. They're addicted, and the addiction thing is so powerful that
that's another 30 for 30. If you ever get a chance, Jamie, check out the Todd Marinovich story. What Steve's talking about.
Yeah. Yep. And then my wife, Lizzie, she's going to straighten a lot of that out. She talked to him yesterday for a couple hours. She does it every Tuesday. And that's, it's pretty remarkable. It's, he was my teammate for 2 years, and she knows so much more about him than I do. It was, it's going to be a great story. Yeah. It was awesome doing it with my partner.
Terrific stuff. And so, the guys over at the IDP Plus, they've been begging for me to ask you this all week. What we do this IDP Guys Invitational. We have like over 300 plus fantasy teams, and it's all for a good cause. It's all to win charity. It's all to combat autism, autism awareness. We do it every year. We were hoping that maybe, you can either, join with us, join a league next year, or even if not, maybe just help us promote the cause,
sure.
Upcoming seasons and what have you, because all we are is extension on each other, to make each other better.
Sounds super worthy, man. Mm-hmm. Love to help out. Yeah, we've got a charity that we've been just all in on called Global Giving, collecting used sports equipment and sending it around the world. We're in, 35 countries or something like that, and helping 1 million kids. IDP, the autism thing sounds great. Love to be a part of it.
Excellent. So we'll send you a league. Jamie, you play in that league, right?
Yeah. It's my first year playing.
Pretty good fun there.
Yeah, good times. But speaking of traveling, you said you went to Indonesia. I know in the early 90s, you actually went to travel around Europe promoting a Madden game, one of the first Madden games, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I played Madden since the early 90s on my Sega Genesis. But before we had Madden, we had Techno Bowl.
Yeah.
And then it released Techno Bowl. Did you know you were on the roster? And
I can't believe that. I
No
about
kidding.
died when I saw that little thing buzzing along.
No kidding, that's a good answer.
Did you play the game when you were
Sure. Yeah. Back in the day when it first came out, it was fun being a part of fun representing Madden. Yeah, we traveled around through Europe, playing the game a lot. In malls with a few thousand people, and I went with Bob Golick and Steve Berline and a couple other guys. Yeah, just living it, man. It was just an awesome trip through France and I forgot where else, but about 4 or 5 different countries. Yeah, it was awesome time.
Nice.
Jamie, do you have any other questions for Steve? Because I'm all out. He answered everything brilliantly. You're
I could ask questions all day, man, but I'm not going to bother. All I got to say is, everyone, you need to go read his book. It's super entertaining. I read it daily on my lunch breaks. I bought the Kindle version. I also have the hard copy right here. So
nice.
Go ahead and support him, buy his book, and I guarantee you're going to find some great fun stories in it. Like, I'm not going to get into it, but the white linen pants.
Oh man!
Like, you're going to have to go read the book to find out what we're talking about there. But it's a hoot, man.
Yeah. A lot of fun stuff. I've been fortunate, and I just kind of wanted to share, and and the self-deprecation thing is fun. I'm not bigger than anybody else. It's issues we all go through, and just wanted to share mine.
And it's so nice. It's so nice to have you on. It's so refreshing to see that you're living your best life. You're living your dream in a positive way. You're promoting growth. Right I guess I'm just going to leave you with 2 more questions here. The first one. Tell the audience where they can find you.
The best place would be writeauthor.com. I've got all my social media handles in there. Actually, you got them down here on the screen. Yeah, it's got all my blogs I've been doing for the last half a year, and lots of photos, scrolling through those, Bo and, game stuff. That'd be the best place to find me. And then if, I've got books here too, if you want to DM me at one of those places, and I'd love to personalize a book for you.
Excellent.
I'll mail it out. I'm
going to take you up on that one. Cool. And then Steve, my final question, I know I asked you in the beginning of the episode, what do you hope the audience takes from your book? But I'm going to go a little deeper here. Steve, what do you hope, putting all this, I guess, mind mapping, vision quest, putting this from your hand, for your mind on paper. What do you hope that the audience out there, even people that don't watch football particularly, what do you hope that the audience gains and learns from your new book?
Just that we're humans too, not just big beef machines. We've got heart, we've got compassion, and that's the angle I'm really want to express more than almost anything is just the humanity that we all have, families, and you see us on social media or on the field. It's a completely different person than what we really are. You might see some guy that's just a total asshole on the field. Well, he's that's his job. Get away from that. He's probably a tender, loving father. Just that we're all real human beings, and I think for all of us, just be the change you want to see is one of my big mottos, and then be strong enough to be kind. Be cool with each other. Listen to each other. Let someone in the traffic in front of you. Don't snap. Life is too short. Life is too wonderful. Help be there for each other.
Amen
team.
To that.
It's a team of this world, and look out for each other's team. Look out for your teammates, the rest of your community, and just be cool.
I wonder, and we talked about Todd Maravich. I totally forgot the name, so thanks for bringing that in there. Lyle Izato, Howie. I mean, we talked about struggle, mental health awareness, everything, just different ways. And I wonder how much of that goes into your book. So I'm kind of myself. I'm very interested. I think that me as a person to grow, I'm pretty much interested in your book as well. So I will be definitely reaching out to you, maybe for an autographed copy.
Beautiful. Love to send one to you and anybody else that wants one.
Excellent. Jamie, any closing thoughts?
No, it's just grateful having me on your IDP podcast.
I'm grateful for both of you.
An honor to be here with Steve. I mean, you've been awesome, man, and I'm highly enjoying your book.
Thank you. You guys have both been great. I appreciate your time, Steve. Thanks for having me on IDP, and Jamie, you're the best too, buddy.
Thank you.
I'll look forward for your next book, and hopefully you'll come back out. And guys in the audience, you can follow Steve. Like I said, he's on writeauthor.com, Facebook, Aggressively Human, LinkedIn as well. You know, he's out there. He's out there on Amazon getting these books out there. So please give Steve a like and follow.
Merry Christmas, everybody. Merry Christmas and happy holidays.
Same to you as well. We're going to end the show a little early tonight. Take care.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you for watching this IDP Guys video. If you like this content and you want more fantasy football content, click here. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more videos to help you master your IDP league, click here to subscribe.